Good morning from Area 51 Raceway. So we are here to do the soldering of the tube to the motor bracket for our Beach Racer Challenge chassis. And do your measurements, make sure you got it even, set it up on your jeweler's block, and you want a center line to draw through so you can see the center line of the where the motor would be. This one ain't critical right now to do this at first. You'll put this on here and solder this from the inside is what I usually do. And after you get it soldered, then when you put the rails, we want to make sure that this is pretty centered, because this may tilt a little, it may look like at a different angle. That's why you kind of make the center line, because sometimes it'll kind of throw you off. So this kind of helps having this line. And I know Harry's got other lines that are drawn on his, and I haven't done it on this one. I have done it on the other block that I have that I do for 332nd stuff. As you can see, there's lines there. You could do whatever you wish to help you guide you to the, the building process of the chassis. But we have this here, and we're going to turn on the soldering iron, and we're going to get our flux. And the solder we're going to use is 6040, and this is a 0.8 millimeter diameter wire, which is perfect. You don't need anything too crazy. It's really easier to deal with that. I would suggest using 6040. You don't really need to use silver solder, because you're not doing drag racing chassis for commercial cars. That's what a lot of those guys will use. I mean, if you want to, you better have a good iron, because it takes more to heat up, and it's up to you. But I mean, I've done it before on a few things. But on this, it's really durable, and it will last, and they take pretty good hits, and the body will destroy itself before the chassis will. So what we have here is the all the soldering stuff ready to go, and this is Stay Clean soldering flux. And I have it in this little, eyedropper bottle that was usually used for scented, scented stuff. And this is just easier to just deal with it, because the bottle comes, in a big bottle and doesn't have a little dropper or nothing. So, and what we're going to do here is get the soldering iron. Let me get it ready. Put it over here. And bear with me, because I got the camera like right at an angle so you can see everything. And what I'm going to do is get a little bit of flux. That's a lot there. I'm going to put it right here. Just a little drop like that. Gonna get the soldering iron, and what you're gonna do is get a little bit of solder like this, if you can see that, just a little like that. And what you're gonna do is just stick it right here and leave it there. And what you're doing is you're letting the flux work with the solder. As you heat this piece, it's going to flow where the flux is at, and the solder will flow with it, and it's gonna just basically follow the little grooves in the channels and fill them in with solder. And just like that, clean my iron a little, and that's that part right there. Really simple and easy. See how that went all the way around there, as well as the outside. It looks nice and neat, and it's not really difficult. So we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. We're going to put a little drop here, and I'll spin it this way so you can see it better, because I don't have a professional camera. And I'm going to get solder again, just like so. Put a little bit like that. Put it right here like I said from the one before. Hold it there for about, I'd say, a good 30 seconds. So just let it sit there, moving just a teeny bit like this. You're heating the part, and then the solder and the flux, and it's just gonna flow. I'd say about 20-25 seconds. And boom, that's it. You can see right there. Now you've soldered your motor bracket. That's how easy that is. That's the first step on that. Now what we'll do is we will put the axles, bushings, and the axle itself, and solder it with the axle inside. I'm going to keep this simple, so I'm going to put the bushing here, right? Put the bushing over here. Now this probably be a little bit hot, so you probably want to let it cool down, or if you have a little spray bottle, you can spray it down also. You can remove those because the tube's already in their place. And what you're going to do is get your axle. You're going to slide it through, just like that. And what you could do is put the pins, because you want to hold the axle from moving back and forth. Let me get this right here. Just like that. Now, nice and tight, and you know, these are in there. And when you clean the tube and kind of sand it off the part that you cut, if you're using a tubing cutter, you want to flatten it out. You can see those are nice and pretty flush and decent on there. But for now, I'm just going to do it this way just to have it like that. Just to kind of show you the basics what I'm doing here. So what we're going to do next is we're going to solder in the bushings. As you can see, the motor, the axle's in place. It's dancing around a little because I moved this out. So let me put this here. There we go. So now it's stable. It's not moving around. So now we're going to solder the bushings in place. I usually get flux, put a little bit there. And again, I'm going to hold pressure onto it. One thing you want to do also, I will do this because you don't want the bushing to move. So you could put a little pin there. Not push it real hard, but just to hold it in place a little. Don't push it down to kind of like tilt the bushing. And I'll do that to kind of hold the bushing in place. And then I'll get my soldering iron. Got all kinds of stuff going on here. And I'll get a little solder, just like, oh, let's see. This is not, clean that up. Just like that, okay. That's better. I had to clean my iron, so like so. I'll put heat right here. Again, I'm just gonna move it around a little back and forth and just keep heat on it. Oops, slipped a little. Like so. And I'm just keeping heat on it. And let's see, give it. Back and forth a little. I'm just keeping the heat on it. And that's it. Pull it out. Always clean your iron. You want the tip of your iron clean. And that's that bushing. Just like that. There you go. You see it went all the way around there. Looking good. You kind of don't want to glob it on. Kind of makes a mess. I'll get the other bushing soldered in, and again I will just put that there. That went in the hole away, but it's not tilting the bushing around, because if you push it real hard and it pops the bushing out, you don't want to do that. You just want to hold it in place. Gonna get my solder like that, and then I'm going to get excuse me, my soldering iron. It's hard to do with all these wires in the way. I'm gonna do this left-handed. I'm not left-handed. I'm gonna get a little bit more like that. I'm gonna apply heat again. Just like that. Just leave the heat on there and kind of move back and forth like that a little, so I don't know if you could see that. Oh, it's hard to do with my left hand. I'm just gonna keep heat on that, just like so. Keep it on there. There you go. Clean my iron. And that's it. There's your axle bushings. All soldered in, ready to rock and roll. And that'd be it. There you go. There's a, God, I hope you can see that. I got terrible lighting. I gotta invest in more lighting. That's what it looks like. That's your motor bracket. That is the first step in doing the slot car chassis.